In this next section, we're going to begin adding and subtracting mixed numbers. Let's say we have 4 7/8 plus 3 1/3. Now you may be tempted to say, oh, let's add the 4 and the 3 together to get a 7 and separate the whole numbers from the fraction parts. That is one strategy, but it's going to involve carrying like you have in regular addition. So if you do this, 4 plus 3 is equal to 7, then you're going to have plus the 7/8 plus the 1/3. And that 7/8 and 1/3 need to each be put over a common denominator. And 8 and 3 both go into 24, so we will rewrite each of these over 24, and I will just leave that 7 off to the side. Now we need to convert each of these fractions over this denominator of 24. The first fraction is going to get multiplied by 3 over 3, and 7 times 3 is 21. Then 1/3 can be multiplied by 8 over 8 so that it has a denominator of 24, and we're going to have 8 over 24. Now we can add these two fractions together. We have 7 plus 29 over 24. Well, that's no good because that's an improper fraction. So we would have to do some division here. Find out that 24 goes into 29 one time with 5 left over. So that becomes 1 and 5, not eighths, but 5 24ths. So we now have 7 plus 1 and 5 24ths, and we can write that as 8 and 5 24ths. Now that is one way to do the problem, provided you are comfortable with the conversion to mixed numbers and the carrying, actually taking that 1 and adding it to the 7 the way I've done that. Now I'm going to leave the problem exactly as I have it here, but I'm going to show you another way to do this, and that is to convert both of these directly into improper fractions. Take 8 times 4 is 32, plus that 3 makes 39, which we put over the 8. And then 3 times 3 is 9, plus 1 is 10, so we're going to have plus 10/3. Then we find a common denominator between 8 and 3, which is again going to be 24. And we convert each fraction. The first fraction, to go from 8 to 24, we multiply down below in the denominator by 3. So this fraction would be multiplied by 3 over 3, and that's going to give us 117 over 24. So large number, and you might need to go off to the side to go and find the product 3 times 39. Likewise, to change 10/3 to be over 24, we're going to need to multiply by 8 over 8, which will give us a numerator of 80. Now we can add across and find out that we get 197 over 24, which is an answer, and it is a correct answer, but because we began with mixed numbers, we really should finish with mixed numbers. So we would really need to now do some long division. 197 divided by 4, go off to the side. We know the answer is going to be 8 here because we just did it a moment ago, but 24 times 8 is 32, carry the 3, 8 times 2 is 16, plus 3 is 19, and we get 192. So we would then subtract off 192, get our remainder of 5, and we can now write that as 8 and 5 24ths. So yeah, you got to make a decision on which way works better for you. This one, you get your mixed number at the end, but you've got to deal with some larger numbers. The other one involves carrying. Now the reason I showed you the second method a moment ago is because right here you cannot separate the whole numbers and the fraction parts when you are subtracting when the second fraction part is bigger than the first. See, here we'd be going 3 minus 2 is 1, but then 1/3 minus 5/8, we're going to get into the negative numbers because the 5/8 is larger than the 1/3. So when it comes to subtraction, you really don't have a choice. You need to convert this into improper fractions. 10 over 3 minus 8 times 2 is 16, plus 5 is 21, so 21 over 8. Now we have a common denominator again of 24, which we're going to rewrite each time. The first fraction will get multiplied by 8 over 8, giving us 80 over 24. And the second fraction is going to get multiplied by 3 over 3, which gives us 63 over 24, which after subtracting gives us 17 over 24. Now you may say, okay, I don't like that. Is there a way I can do my subtraction and kind of cheat? Well, yeah, there is, and I'm going to show this to you, but not always the way to go unless you really know what's going on. I'm going to leave the 17 over 24 there as a reminder. What you can do is you can borrow from this 3, so to speak, to make it a 2. And usually we're used to carrying 1 over to the next column. Well, 1 in this case would be 3/3. So I'm going to be adding 3 plus that 1, and I'd be writing this as 2 4/3, which is not an actual value, but we're going to make it work for ourselves because we've taken our 3/3 plus 1/3 and written that as 4/3. Then minus our 2 5/8. This time I can just go 2 minus 2 is 0, get rid of the whole number part, and focus on the 4/3 minus 5/8. Now we're going to get a common denominator of 24 again. The first fraction is going to get multiplied by 8 over 8, giving us 32 over 24. And the second fraction is going to get multiplied by 3 over 3, which gives us 15 over 24, which then gives us that answer of 17 over 24. This gets a little bit confusing here. So what my recommendation is for addition of mixed numbers, you can separate the whole numbers from the fraction parts, but not for subtraction. Most people don't like to deal with this borrowing issue. And if you just want one process that always works, then taking these, converting them to improper fractions to begin with, doing your addition or subtraction, and then getting your answer, that will always work. You don't have to worry about carrying or borrowing.